Hello, everyone. This is Clayton Smith. Welcome to part four of my office tour. So today we're going to focus on Umbrella. So I'll tell you a little bit about what Umbrella is, and we'll go through my solution. And again, just to remind everyone, this is not designed to be a full feature demo of everything about Umbrella. There are certainly ways for us to do that. It's usually better one-on-one. This is just an introduction to my home lab and kind of what I use and what I use Umbrella for. But before we get started, I wanted to point out I'm wearing my favorite Cisco t-shirt, actually. It's also my son's favorite. It is, I don't know if you can see, there's like a little, right there, a little Lego guy, and the Cisco's made out of Legos. So thought I'd take advantage of the work from home and actually wear one of my favorite work t-shirts. So anyway, let's get started. Let's talk about Umbrella. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Umbrella, Umbrella really started life as OpenDNS. It was an acquisition by Cisco a number of years ago. OpenDNS really originally sought out to make recursive DNS very fast and efficient across the internet. What we ended up with is a really full-featured security solution. So as a solution kind of stands today, it really can be deployed in two different methodologies. So one is purely DNS, and we'll talk about that primarily today. The other one is going to be where you're in full proxy mode and you're actually sending all your HTTP and HTTPS traffic up to Umbrella for inspection. I don't do that at my home lab, so we're really not going to spend much time talking about that. What I do is I've pointed my recursive DNS, and I'll actually show you that in deployments, pointed that up to Umbrella, and then they do some inspection based on, is this a good domain or is this a bad domain, or is it a gray domain? When I say gray domains, what I mean is maybe something like GitHub, which has plenty of good content and plenty of bad content. So the domain itself is neither good nor bad. In those cases, we'll actually reroute the traffic through something called an intelligent proxy. An intelligent proxy will actually do some malware inspection of files that are being downloaded, and then it will hold back the final bit until we get a disposition check, in which case we'll either release the final bit or we'll pull back on it. So what we're doing here is we're using DNS. It's a very elegant solution. We're using DNS to decide where your users should go or shouldn't go based on the policies that you set up. So really, really easy to deploy. And as you're going to see, the policies are just as easy to put in place. So let's talk about my environment here. So we in a previous video, we talked about Firepower Device Manager, and I showed you actually how I had all of my DNS actually routed to Umbrella. And I also had some other DNS providers that were explicitly banned on my network utilizing policies of Firepower Device Manager. So all of my DNS is actually being resolved through Umbrella. So let's start with the overview page. This is the first page you'd see if you are an Umbrella customer, or if you are an Umbrella customer, in which case, thank you. So this is, this page is deliberately graphical, just to real quick, tell you, hey, what's going on. The first thing that I notice is at the top here, I have 5 malware requests that have been blocked in the last 24 hours. A, that's good. B, obviously some further inspection and investigation would need to be done to be able to say, look, do I have something worse going on in my environment? And we're not going to do that full investigation, but let's go ahead and click there so I can view the details. All right, so I happened to look at this before, and what I can tell you is, well, it looks like this happens to be my son's MacBook Air. He's actually in Albuquerque, New Mexico right now. I'm based in Cedar Park, Texas, so he's not with me. He's at his mom's house right now. But I can tell that it looks like his computer's been hit in a couple places that are believed to be malware. So from here, I could do a full investigation. I could click down through the destinations. I'm not going to do that live because I haven't had a chance to do that yet. But I could actually investigate this, see the reasons why these destinations were determined to be malicious. Something just tells me right offhand that probably iTunes-apple.com, probably not a real Apple domain. Something tells me that was probably a phishing attack that was supposed to deploy malware. So, he reached out to those, and obviously I'll do some investigation and see something further about that. Now, what's cool, something I'll show you in a subsequent video is going to be, we can actually use Cisco Threat Response to take these destinations, put them in Cisco Threat Response, and then I can see for my whole enterprise, in this case, my whole house, I'll be able to see, hey, did anyone else reach out to this? Was anyone else part of this malware attack? So it looks like it was blocked, which is awesome. So the tool is working just fine. So we'll go back to overview. All right, we're back to the dashboard. I edited out the time it took to load. So you'll notice that total DNS requests, I obviously see that trend over time. Total blocks, I can look at trend analysis on there. Security blocks, any sort of sessions. This would be more associated with the full proxy. Block security categories. By the way, if I clicked here at a point in time to see where there were 5, you would notice it would be the same 5 that we looked at in the previous screen. So this is just the overview page. It's a great kind of dashboard to go to, but what I really want to spend some time on are going to be some of the deeper dives into the lower levels. So let's talk about the different ways of deployment. The first way, which is quite easy, is exactly what I did when you saw Firepower Device Manager, pointing my recursive DNS. Then I come back here, I register my public IP address. Those of you who are looking at this, I'm actually in a dynamic IP address, so it'll probably be a different IP by the time this video pops. So what happens is I actually register the IP addresses that are ingress and egress points, and then it knows once Umbrella actually received those DNS requests from this IP address, it knows to apply my policy to that IP address. So a really elegant way of dealing with that. So it's really easy to go on and deploy full large networks with simply just a couple of clicks of a button. So very easy to deploy there. Now, network devices is something that I kind of hinted at a little bit. Obviously that I run a full Meraki stack network here, aside from the firewall. We're going to show in a later video, I'm actually going to work you through those network devices, and I might even have a special guest on that one. But all of this information is actually pulled from the integration between Meraki and Umbrella. So these happen to be SSIDs that exist in my environment, and I'm applying policy based on the individual SSID. Really cool stuff. So I can have different policies per different SSIDs, and that's really important for especially how I do some things here at the house to protect my little guy who's 4 years old from going places where we know he shouldn't go. The next is going to be roaming computers. And with roaming computers, you'll notice that my son's MacBook Air, my son who's away at college, his MacBook Air it actually has a roaming client. So deploying the roaming client is super easy. I'm going to move my face out of the way here. You click on this roaming client, and you just download one of these roaming clients, or you put the module information into your AnyConnect implementation, and when someone connects with AnyConnect, it will actually download the module and just use Umbrella. So when they're off net, it will actually enforce any sort of the DNS request. So what happens, I mean, on a very basic level, what happens with this client, it sits at the network stack, it grabs all the DNS requests, it encrypts those, and it sends it off to Umbrella. So even if you have a user that's off net, not at your corporate environment, not at your home, it's going to go on and take care of them even when they're moving around. It also obviously gives you some more granularity into the type of data, and we can do IP level protection as well, not just DNS. So let me move my face back over there. All right, I don't have any mobile devices deployed at this time utilizing Umbrella. I don't have any Chromebook users. Network tunnels would really be set up from the perspective if I was doing full proxy, which I'm not, and I'm not doing any sort of Active Directory integration on a home lab. So obviously, if you want to see those things, we've got demo labs I can absolutely show you, or get one of our specialists who's even better at doing this stuff than me to go in and show you some of that. So these are some of the configurations and deployments that we have here, but what I really want to talk about is going to be policies and a couple things in reporting. What we won't have time to get to today is to talk about investigations, and so that who knows, maybe we'll do a future video if you guys ask for it on investigations. So let's take a look at, we can definitely do the security overview, security activity, but the one that I really want to focus on, oh, I'm sorry, I was supposed to actually go to policies, my fault. So on policies, let's take a look at my DNS policies. And you notice that I had something there called firewall policies. So firewall policies, if I was doing full proxy, we can actually do firewall in the cloud, utilizing that full proxy capability. So certainly something to keep a lookout for. That's maturing a little bit every day. So we're going to take a look at my filtered policies. And what I want to really take a look at are going to be these security settings. Let me hit enable here and edit. And I want you to see that these are the categories that I'm blocking. I'm going to go through each one of them really quickly because I think they're important. Obviously, blocking malware, known bad malware sites, newly seen domains. This one is optional when you first deploy Umbrella. I highly recommend you turn it on unless you're a web development firm or something. The reason why is because oftentimes ransomware, the people that write ransomware will stand up domains for command and control right at the moment that they actually deploy the malware. And so they do that because they want to, if you have policies that are stopping certain content or trying to stop this, most policies will allow newly seen domains to actually show up. So since they haven't been categorized, they tend to slip past a lot of security controls. I like to have this clicked because we categorize domains pretty quickly. 4 hours or so. I mean, let's say on the long end, it's going to be 24 hours. I think your users can stand to not have a newly formed domain for a day, let's say, especially considering the security protection. So there are some really well-known ransomware that we prevented just by simply having this clicked on. So really recommend that. Obviously, C2, command and control callbacks, that's a big one. In fact, that's one of the things that Umbrella has been great at preventing. Going to known phishing sites. In my case, I have potentially harmful domains. DNS tunneling to prevent people from trying to get around Umbrella will actually block access to the sites that do DNS tunneling. So when they first try to even stand up that session to do the tunneling, we knock that down. And crypto mining. Quick kind of story about crypto mining. We've actually had some customers that we have heard of that they deployed Umbrella. They thought they were having trouble within their server farm and server infrastructure. And as it turned out, they deploy Umbrella, they stop some crypto mining that they didn't know was going on. And as a result of that, suddenly their server farm starts to operate more normally. So crypto mining, crypto jacking is a real problem out there. It's nice to be able to stop this because obviously if you're doing crypto mining for someone, even unknowingly doing crypto jacking, that's got to connect somewhere so they can take advantage of that and monetize it. Okay, so we will go back some. I don't know if it's going to come through the mics, but we're starting to get some rain where I'm at, so you may actually get to hear some thunder. All right, we also have the content filters. So these are going to be basic URL filters that you would expect. You can obviously do low, moderate, or high, or you can pick your individual categories. So I've picked my individual categories, just things to keep the kids from, so I don't have to worry about this. And there you go. Probably should even, as I look at this, I should probably go in and cinch it up even a little bit more. So we can block content from here as well. Let's go back. I had mentioned intelligent proxy. So as long as I get back to my DNS policies, cancel. Be nice if I click the right button, right? All right. So we are going to go policies and DNS policies. Not where here's where I want to be. Sorry. So the intelligent proxy, this is where I know that I've enabled that. That's that proxy that will go out for domains that are gray. It will actually hold back and then do some basic some file inspection on it. We can do SSL decryption. This is going to be related primarily to the full proxy mode. So that's a little bit about the policies. Obviously, I can't get to all of it, but you can see how very quickly I could easily stand up a basic security policy, point my DNS, register my IP address, and be up and running. And so typically when we meet with customers, we could have this up and running within an hour or two from the time that they say go. And the hour or two is really more on our back end to get the environment stood up for them, get their usernames and passwords figured out, because the actual deployment component of it really can take an IT organization 30 minutes or so to do. So let's spend the last minutes that we have together in reporting. So the real report that I want to focus on, there's a bunch of great reports. There's some executive type reports. You can customize reports. You can have them sent to you every morning. I get a security incident report sent to me every morning from my home network. But let's focus on app discovery because I think that this is something that is awfully cool. So app discovery, as the DNS requests are being made, we're matching those to known applications that are out there on the web. So what you get back with is a report, which is kind of shocking to a lot of folks. Just look, how many apps do we discover traffic going out to the internet for? And so in my case, there's you add these up, around 1,400 apps just in my home network. So that's pretty impressive. It will also flag categories that or different applications that are considered high risk. So you can look into those. You can do things like put them in audit mode. You can actually ban them and stop them right there, which I have about 10 apps that I have done that with. Or you can go through and you can actually approve these. So the steps to approve or to block are incredibly easy. I'll actually show you right here. So you'll notice these are 67 apps that I've approved. Give it a second to load. All right, back after a short delay. And you'll notice right here that I've approved these. And if I wanted to change this, which I'm not going to, but if I wanted to change this, it's simply as much as clicking on a dropdown, and I can knock off OpenDNS. Now that would be a real problem for me. But let's say that for some reason I'm in an organization that has been using Skype and I've changed to some other collaboration tool. So I no longer need access to Skype. Simply just click here, do the drop down, click on not approved, and now my enterprise has stopped using Skype. So that's a little bit about app discovery. It's a little bit about Umbrella. It's literally one of my favorite tools to run because it is so easy to set up. Doesn't require any infrastructure on site. The only infrastructure you may need is you may need a virtual appliance if you're doing Active Directory integration. That's really it. So this is yet another edition of a tour of my office. So we'll be back soon with yet another installment of this, and I'm trying to remember what we're going to do next. Well, I guess you'll just have to stay tuned to find out, right? Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Stay safe.